Tried to hold us back, to hold us, tried to hold us back.
We will be here forever. Do you understand?
This week, I catch up with former Thrasher Skater of the Year. He's an X Games legend who has won more medals than anyone else. He's put out some of the greatest transition video parts of all time. He's a mega ramp pioneer. It's Mr. Bob Burnquist. Bob's life has been so wild and his impact on skateboarding is so deep. It's near impossible to encapsulate all of that in an hour or a 2-hour conversation. However, I do believe we get a pretty authentic snapshot into the personality and the character that he is. He really came to the podcast open and willing to share the accumulated knowledge and wisdom from decades of functioning at an elite level in the pursuit of passion. And to me, it was obvious that his passion is progression. And he talks about how he's refined his processes over the years, and really happy to pass that on. And for me personally, I felt like I got a real sense of his genius. You might as well, I don't know. He's a conscious human, very health conscious human, and we discussed that, and I really believe that's probably a big part of his longevity. It's a good conversation. I love this conversation, and I know you will too. So sit back, relax, and get to know Mr. Bob Burnquist, everybody. Cheers.
Tried to hold us, he tried to hold us, he tried to hold us back, forced to the fame.
Child of the crayon, child of the light, styles of the neon belong to a culture destined to rock for eons. Time doesn't exist, shut those cataracts, capture the virtualist. Now, let's get back to what makes things seem forever, whether it's unseen, unheard, or it's 16 again. Not a bother, fill this old man river, kill a floor that gives all.
Really like, how can I learn more tricks? You know, and then when I was in the beginning, I mean, to this day, right? But like really in the beginning, it's like all I wanted to do is go home with a bunch of tricks. I learned 2 today. I learned 3. I learned 4, right? It was like going home, like, all right. If I learned 1, I was like, man, I just learned 1. How crazy is that? Like just learning a trick is incredible. But I remember it was just like counting them. And then when I started skating switch, and our thing then, it was just because I remember like Lincoln did nose grinds and back in the day, you know, whatever. And then we would like rewind, you know, and then we're watching the footage. And then he's like, nose grinds, like rewinding to watch it again. I was like, whoa, what's that trick? You know, and it was like the rewind grind. It wasn't a switch grind. It was because we were rewinding and watching the video, you know. So we're like.
Is that how it got the name? So that's a switch 5-0. No, switch fakie 5-0.
No, just a switch grind. Just the switch grind.
Okay.
Lincoln would do the nose grinds. They're like, we're watching. We go home and watch all our footage. You know, that Lincoln's dad or my buddy's dad would film, and then we just watch the footage. And then only to like see what we're doing, and then what to learn the next day. It was just like constant, right? So we watched, and I was like, oh wait, maybe I can do that. You know, maybe I can get like that rewind grind. You know, so the next day I wanted to learn the rewind grind, you know, and I remember getting it, and it was like, oh, I was stoked, you know, and that was like, okay, a new trick. But as time went by, I mean, and there's even another trick that ended up, they called it Bob's switch stance, crazy, but it was like just, I came up on an ollie to fakie, and then switched my body around, and then landed. I think it's like Chris Russell's did it recently.
Like a body
you
varial.
see him but you just kind of ollie to fakie, and then body the varial, and then come back down without grabbing the board. Yeah, no hands. And it was a sequence in a mag in like 89 or 90 or something in Brazil, and the caption was Bob's switch stance, because I was switching my stance, you know. And my first grind wasn't a switch grind; it was a rewind grind. So it wasn't. I was almost like kind of like appearing in little ways, and then obviously watching Salman Aga, Danny, Colin, like bringing the switch tech tricks to vert. I felt like I needed to learn to skate, you know, before I really did the more complex tricks. And that's why I was like, oh, I shouldn't just like try a heel flip or a switch heel flip. Maybe I should like learn grinds, rock fakie hang up, just switch. Even though I would already do them, but I wanted to like spin let me learn to skate again. And that opened up a bunch of tricks. So I would just like, no, if I did a switch rock and roll, which was basically a fakie hang up revert. But if I looked at it that way and I did it after a switch frontside grind, the rewind grind, then now I'm skating goofy because I'm regular. So I'm like, oh, I can learn all these other things. So it was really like, okay, now I have an open book to learn even the most basic tricks I could count. Right? So that was my thing. Oh, backside air. If I learn to switch backside air, it's a trick. It counts. I go home with switch judo airs, whatever. That's what made me really do it.
But were you from the school of thought that I can't learn a switch trick until I can do it regular?
No, I would just try
care?
stuff. No, it doesn't. Okay. There are no rules really. It's whatever you're comfortable with, because if you feel like you're going to do better, like I'll think of a trick and then if it turns into something else, why do I feel obligated to do that trick before I learn whatever it became that looks a lot easier and feels like it's going to happen first? Maybe I'll get that one first and then I'll battle the other one I tried. It's like being obligated to finish a book and the book sucks. Some people are stuck in like, oh, I have to finish this because you don't have to. You're done. Like if you don't like it.
It could potentially hold you back.
Yeah. I mean, of course, if you got a thing and if you don't finish it, you're going to have to go ahead and finish it. But I'm saying you don't need to unless there's no rules in that way. Now, obviously you want to learn how to ollie before you learn how to kickflip, right? But if you learn to ollie and maybe the switch flips are working better, why you don't have to go ahead and do the switch flip. Maybe you're a regular skater, or maybe there's I know of skaters that skate street a stance and transition another stance. That's how they grew up, and yeah,
really?
Yeah, totally. And they look at, and that's like really awkward, but at the same time, you can see how there was no rules when it wasn't like you can't do that. It was like, no, it just feels better if I do it this way.
Like Scapegoat. Remember that?
Yeah, like he can, you can tell that, you can't tell which way, he either does a goofy trick or a regular trick, which is, I've learned to like really look at it that way now, not necessarily switch. And I remember talking to Mullen, Rodney was like, it's not switch. It's like so if you're going to do a switch heel flip, it's like, why? That's switch because you are regular? So, okay, so it's switch. It's goofy. So instead of calling it a switch heel and make it a mystery to find out where your stance is, just call it a goofy heel flip and a regular heel flip. That's a goofy grind or it's a regular grind. I'm saying it just positions it in a way that there is no switch. It's just what stance are you doing the trick in.
So your stance diverse.
No, it's just, if you look at it, that's all it is.
It's a spectrum.
When you put the word switch, it's like, okay, I understand that you learned to skate this way and now you're doing that trick this way. So obviously that trick is harder for you than this one. So I can judge you against, you just did something that's harder for you or it's harder for everyone because skating switch is a little more complicated. But if you take all that away and you just look at the trick, it's either a goofy heel flip or a regular heel flip. That's all it is. Or whatever other, trick that you do.
So maybe we're limiting ourselves by just thinking that we are a certain stance.
Yeah, no, but you get used to a stance.
Yeah.
I mean, that's normal, like you get used to it. But you can, and that's usually because you get stuck in this. It's a lot more comfortable to go to the park and like just skate your stance because that's what you're comfortable with, right?
And you're programming that.
Yeah, you're just comfortable and that's how you skate and that's, whatever. But if you go to the park and you do the uncomfortable things, that like you skate the comfortable way and then you do the uncomfortable for a little bit, that's how you progress. Dude. And I remember just skating switch, or like I would skate and then when I start getting tired or towards the end of the session, I'm like, whatever, I'm going to do I would skate a half hour and I would skate switch, so I wouldn't skate the other stance. I would just skate switch,
Interesting.
For 30, at least.
For half an hour.
Yeah, just before I go. Yeah, before I go. When I was starting to think like, if I want to get better at this, it's like studying or anything. You don't do it all at once. Anything you got to do is like a consistent, little by little. It's not about like, let me, study all night because I have a test tomorrow. I mean, you're better off doing, studying a little bit every day, and playing yourself out.
Yeah, and that's what I want to sort of lead into. Like, you were a pioneer of mega ramp skating. It's no secret, obviously. Everyone knows that. But you were in a position where every trick that you were learning and doing in the mega realm was an NBD, effectively. I mean, aside from Danny and maybe a couple of others, like you were really like, okay, like, is this possible? So what was your approach back then? Like, obviously there was a lot of fear, I'd say. Like, how were you approaching a new learn on mega, like inch by inch? Because I feel like it's a big commitment, even just rolling in. So you can't like sort of tickle it like maybe in the streets or a smaller transition. You can sort of have a little play with something and see how it feels.
You know, it's more of an illusion because the way you progress is gradual. So then you look at me, you know, skating at a top level and you didn't see my gradual. So, you know, I learned how to fall. Skateboarding is that. First, you learn how to fall. You don't learn tricks. You learn how to fall. You learn how to get out of things. You learn how to stay healthy. You learn how to be strong, right? You learn all those things, and then you skate. Because if not, it's like, okay, I'm going to, just go out and do this. It's going to be crazy, and the risk level is so high. I'm a risk manager, like skateboarding is risk management, so why are you going to go down this rail if you're not quite ready? Your foot's kind of off, and you might as well, have a higher chance of getting hurt. But then your mind goes in, it's like, no, this is the one time I have it, I got my video part, and you up that risk intake because you have, a return of like, well, I might get my last trick of the video part, and I would even choose times of the year to be able to like, okay, if I get hurt here, so I'll go crazy here for a little bit, and then if I get hurt, I can recover it for this, and this, have a schedule and you have a thing. It's like, okay, I'm filming and I'm competing. And so the level of like progression is really, okay, if I learn how to fall, then I can try whatever, and you can get like a little arrogant with that, and then you get hurt, right? Like you get like, this is really, I can get this, right? Like I know how to fall, I can try anything, but then you do something wrong on Mega, especially because we didn't really know, it's like, you go to jump and you put your foot down before you put your knees. You'll probably roll your foot. You'll put your weight on it. It's going to like mess up. You're going way too fast. The ground's going way faster than what you used to. It's like running out of a car, like super fast, and you go to run. You don't have it. And if you step on it weird, it's, the ground's going to move more than you thought, anticipated. So that might be that you put too much weight on. You're going to roll your ankle, break your ankle.
Have you seen that with street skaters who want to just give the mega ramp a try, like Pat Duffy that time, and maybe Heath Kirchart? Did you see that with those guys?
No, but see, those guys are top level. I mean, Duffy knows transition, Heath, and all them. Skate a bit of that. But it is about falling. Their falling expertise is on a rail, that I'll go and I will have a hard time with. I'm not fast like Rick McCrank and quick foot and come out of stuff. I'll take slams on rails because I'm slow. I'm kind of like, I'm good at falling on the Mega. But like on the smaller stuff, you have to be a lot more agile, and so, I mean, that's it. But so the progression, it was always about like, okay, I can try that because I know how to get out of things, so I'll keep trying it. No, let's test this. And so my gauge in my visualization is real, so it's not like I'll visualize something out of the order. Like if I visualize something, I'm visualizing if it would happen actually. So it's just as much as skating if you're going to put something together that you haven't done, but you can visualize it. So you can just kind of put those two together, and then you have to try it. Then you have to test it out and see how it works. And then, okay, it's kind of there. Then you adjust minors, and maybe take the ramp down, change the radius. So there's all these little things you have to do, and just for it to get to a point. So my whole thing is like, you want to design the ramp and design the things so that a backside air or a 50-50 are super easy, right? So the rail design radius on my ramp, because it was different than Danny's, so it was like, a little bit of movement around. But until I made the 50-50 real easy, I didn't, try anything else, and I didn't stop adjusting the rail because I had to keep adjusting it for a while and da-da-da. So then it's like, I would go hit the 50-50 and it would like hit really hard. So like, I'm off on the radius, or I try to ollie up too much and then I'm hitting it. So it's really, so then until I got it to where it was smooth and it just kind of like grabbed good 50-50 and came down, there was no stopping, the adjustments. I did that for like 3 or 4 days.
I was going to say, it's not slow. It's a slow, it's a slow burn.
Yeah. When you're, building, testing, checking, I mean, it's the fun part, right? It's like you're trying to create something new. All you got to do is get it to the right angle there and it'll work good. So, but once that happens, then a kickflip 50-50 is just a matter of trying it, and then when you learn how to fall on it, so you're not going to sack it or whatever, like you start trying things really fast because if you go fast, you go over it. You know, so until when you start getting comfortable, you slow down. You know,
but we were talking earlier. So obviously you're going so fast on the mega stuff, but let's say a kickflip 50-50. That's slow. But like surely the flip would feel really slow. The catch would feel very slow.
Yeah, you tend to flip quick, you know, and then you get it to
the early catch.
The foot. Yeah, that's kind of because there's relative wind to it, so you can't really take a flip all the way because the board will fly away. You know, you go that fast, and let's say you're just kind of doing the. Be cool to do like a muscat flip, like a 180 flip, right? But
fold. If
you don't grab the board, you're going so fast, the wind just takes the board away.
All that shit.
So that's why it was like when I did kickflip frontside 180, it was just like I had to grab with the back foot and then make sure it's, you know, angled and pushing, the wind's pushing it into my foot. That's why it looks stuck.
So potentially you could be holding a trick, like catch it for a lot of the trick, and do you know right up until the moment you're going to stomp it down if it's going to be a make? Like
no, I mean, if you're coming sideways on it like that, I just know the board's going to fly away.
Okay.
Because the wind's going to catch it.
Aerodynamics.
It's just going to catch and going to go away, you know?
Yeah.
So you have to angle it into the wind, you know, and it, you know, if the wind is hard, then might as well leave the flip tricks for another day and try something else, you know?
Bro, just to hear the intricacies directly from you, Bob, is just so epic, dude.
Right on.
But I want to go into a bit more of a philosophical question. Like, you are 49 years old, correct?
Yeah.
How would you describe your relationship with skateboarding in this present phase of life?
Same as ever, really, just because, I mean, obviously I'm not like trying to go out there and compete and you know, and get top level every event, you know, and even like mega, you know, I was doing that, and I keep doing that, keep filming, you know, it's the same thing. We're just skating here. The Nui Park was super fun, you know, and super different. You know, like, you know, get a little street, little park, and then, you know, skated the Bar Beach Bowl. That was pretty cool because I've seen footage and I didn't get, you know, a chance to skate it. So it's just like wherever I am, I get to, you know, skate these amazing places and, you know, and it feels like, you know, just as incredible as before. And it's more of like, okay, skate, recover. It's like same thing.
Yeah, it's like for me, because I'm the same age as you, like my approach to a skate session is so different. Like I have way less expectation, and in a lot of way I'm having more fun. So how would you describe your approach now to a session? Like, you know, you're not going into it like I've got to learn this trick or I've got to perform. Do you feel like there's less pressure on you than there's ever been?
Well, it's different. Are you, were you ever a professional skateboarder?
No.
Okay. Well, in that sense, you can pull back and be, you know, and really it's the relationship that you have with skateboarding. That's, you know, what it is. My relationship with skateboarding is one of like, hey, I do it. I live my dream. So, you know, and I've lived this high pressure, you know, intense, always, you know, skating and taking slams and recovering. That's been my life, you know, so it's not really any different. So when I go to a session, obviously I don't have to go out there. I'm not skating for you and, you know, for everyone else watching, you know, but I like, you know, expect of myself of like, oh, I want to like figure this, you know, place out, you know, not whatever level, maybe the locals are there, but they're locals, you know, so they know the spot. So if my ego gets in the way, then I'm like, well, I have to be like, you know, I got to rip these locals because, you know, I am, you know who I think I am, like, you know, all that stuff. So it's just kind of like, well, what's my approach? It's like I have to figure out this bowl just like, you know, when you go to the first time. And I just, okay, let's have some fun. And if I'm obviously there's a situation, obviously I'm here for Jackalope, you know, event, and we're trying to, you know, get some footage, and we got the kids there, and Huddy's in the 9, you know, in the bowl, and it was just like, oh, this is amazing. So then I'm skating, having fun, but then I'm also like, I need to get a few clips, and I know what it takes to, okay, so let's go over here, I'm going to do this, let's go over there, I'm going to do that, and then let's do that. And then I just kind of organize the session to capture whatever the content that, you know, that I know is going to be good, and then I'll try something, and then boom, that's it, you know, and then, you know, if I slam, you know, and you know, and then keep going. It's like the same approach but now it's like, it's organized and like I know what to do, you know, to be able to handle what needs to be handled.
Yeah.
And then when I'm doing it, I'm having a good time doing it, and I'm pushing myself at that, whatever I am. Not trying to be like, well, I'm just going to do this and it's good enough. I was never like that. It's got to be good for me. I got to be like, oh, yeah, I'm stoked I did that,
Do you feel a sense of responsibility to the next generation?
Not as much as, just, doing my thing. You understand that people, you are inspiring to people, as people are to me. That's, just the way of life. So by understanding that, then it's cool to be around and trying to get them to be the best they can be, and just kind of like, oh man, yeah, and stoke them out and be there. But it's not like, I don't feel like it's my responsibility of that. I mean, people can do whatever they want to do, and I live the way I live. And if that mirrors into something cool, then you do that. And if you don't, do something else, it's all good.
Good answer, bro. Yeah. Good answer. I love that. Yesterday you did or the day before yesterday, you did a crooked grind down the hubba at the skate park, and the crowd went wild, which, I mean, that hubba is not easy to skate. And, describe, like, you look genuinely stoked, and I heard my friend tell me that you did have to battle it a little bit.
Yeah, I battled it.
Comparatively to the things you've achieved, like, do you still get a sense of accomplishment?
Oh, yeah, every time I skate.
Even just on a crooked? Yeah, okay.
Of course. I mean, it's like, it's whatever, like I said, whatever your battle is and what your approach is. And, and I carry a bunch of boards. Like I got a vert board, a street board, and, when I skate park and bowls. So like I have them around for that reason. Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen. I like skating everything. It's not like, oh, I'm good at this, I'm going to do this. That's the uncomfortable zone. So I like being in that. Right. So it's like, all right, here's my board. But my board wasn't as good of a setup as Tommy's, because I grabbed Tommy's board and he's like, like his board's so good. And I was like, oh, this is sick. But my street board's kind of rugged a little bit. Maybe I could, put a newer board on. It would be a better pop. And then I'm skating all these different boards. So like when I grab the board, it's like cough. So I go to ollie and it's not really there.
So you did that on Tommy Flynn's board?
No, but I'm saying I grabbed this board and I skated on it. And I'm like, that's a tight board for this type of skateboarding. Yeah, gotcha. So that's my mini ramp board, cruise around street board. But for that, but that's that is the art of like really skating. And what I mentioned, like skating's hard already. So anything that you can do for yourself, for it to be a little easier, the better. So looking at your board and, okay, like, this is a good setup for this, I'm going to skate. If I skate vert with my mini ramp board, it's going to be horrible. I'm not going to enjoy it. It's going to be hard. I'll be able to do a couple of things, but like, it's going to be hard.
Well, it's like surfers have a quiver of
you have to have. But sometimes you're traveling. No, but sometimes you're traveling. You can have a park board that you can tighten up your trucks and it becomes a vert board. Okay. That's, possible. But if I have everything, set up like that, so I grabbed that and then, I was like, all right, I can do that. But the slams were like, my board was a little off and I was like alling in my front foot. It's like the nightmare on the, on the hubba, front foot comes off. Yeah. And then it's not there. And I took a bunch of tuck and rolls on that. But yeah, it was cool. And that marble, man, it was just so fast. Once I got on it too, it was just like, whoa, okay, you gotta.
I heard Tommy.
It goes faster than
Tommy whacks the crap out of it.
Yeah, no,
but he needs to.
No, and that's what it needs. I just adjusted my body, because I'm, and even if you see the footage, you can tell that I'm like,
seen it.
I'm on it, and then I get out like I'm like riding something, because I don't do it over the top. Because it's almost like I'm coming out of a ramp, because I was, that's my mind. It's like sideways on it.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, in my mind, I put you in the realm of, like, Danny Wade, Colin McKay, who kind of brought street tricks to vert. I know other guys did, but this is my take on how things evolved. You guys progressed, bringing, like, street-orientated tricks to vert. Were your roots in street skating originally, or what brought you to transition if we go way back?
Yeah, I mean, back in I was just like late 80s or whatever, vert was like the thing that pulled. I started skating street because that, started skating the sidewalks or whatever. But once there was a park, like opened up just 3 blocks from my house, I got super lucky. There's a big wooden vert ramp. So right in the beginning, right after I started skating, I got right into vert because
was there a vert
I was
ramp close by?
Yeah, I would just street skate to the park.
In Sao Paulo?
In Sao Paulo. Skate vert. Oh, let's go get something to eat. And then we'd street skate down to the shopping mall, then like skate back and then skate vert and then skate the street and then skate vert. So it was always this mix. And then street skating was coming on. I seen Gons and, and it was like, oh yeah, then you want to do that. So it wasn't just, I was in the generation that was looking, already beyond, the street guys and then skating vert because I started at that, generation end of vert. So I had this vision. So when I saw Danny, and everyone trying to bring that street to vert, I related to that because I was skating street. I was skating vert. I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool to, kickflip into that or tail slide, whatever. So getting a lip tricks and all that. So that was just from my formation, but like the inspiration of watching other, and the videos that came to Brazil, whatever, when the VHS showed up, we
yeah, because it was all about vert in the late 80s. Like I started skating in 1988.
Yeah.
I was like, we just wanted to be vert skaters. But then early 90s, it quickly died. Mm-hmm. And then me and my friends seen the blind video days, and it just changed everything.
Yep.
So you were in obviously that era. Like, what did vert die in Brazil as well? Or did it ever even start there? I don't know.
No, it was strong. I mean, when you talk about vert being dead, is more in the sense of like, what is the mainstream attention of skateboarding at that time? Because that was like, people still skated vert. It wasn't as popular, and then we didn't have many vert ramps. So that main ramp that I skated all the time closed. And I moved, we had to move to the north end of Sao Paulo. So going there was kind of far. And then there was a street park that was close to where I lived. And then downtown, which we found our Embarcadero, kind of like where you see a lot of the footage nowadays, the guys skating, Anhangabaú, it's called, so we were there skating every weekend. So I tended to just skate, street for a while. And then it was like, okay, let's go to the vert. And then a cement vert opened up, and Digo was like one of the only guys. And then Lincoln Ueda started skating with him while we were just mostly skating street because we didn't have a vert.
What age range we're talking here?
I was like probably 13, 14, kind of into 15. And then I started skating that cement ramp because I skated wood, and then now we're like have a cement ramp, and so that's what we skated. But when I was skating, I was like super into street and vert, and that's kind of like how it shaped. And even the vert ramp really was 2 quarter pipes off of the ground. It was like you have the skate park floor, right? And then the quarter pipes came up, and then that was the vert.
Yeah.
And then they have the fun box, and then the other thing. So it was like this whole thing. So we would like skate the vert and then just kind of veer off to the side, and now you're on the street and this big vert wall and this all the stuff. And
like
back
you
vert.
didn't consider yourself a vert skater.
I was one of the vert skaters because of my time. So definitely was seen, and we skated vert, But I like to approach it where it was like wherever we were, I was like, okay, let's skate that. If we're gonna go downhill skating, I'll skate. If we'll go, street skating, we'll skate. It was just like, yeah, let's try that. Let's go have fun, and film. And like film, because that was the thing too.
And your parents were super supportive?
Yeah, they were. My mom was like, they found that skateboarding was a way to like control, in the sense, because it's like, oh, I didn't do well in school, and then I wasn't paying attention or do whatever it was. They would like grab my board, and then you have my attention now, like, so that was, once they realized that, and they realized it was positive as well, even though all that was going on, they're like, well, he's not out there, doing some weird stuff or whatever. He's really enjoys skateboarding. So when it got to the point of Slam City Jam, which I was like 18, turning 18.
Vancouver?
Yeah, in Vancouver. Like my dad wanted me to like go and study and finish college and do all this stuff. And then my mom was like, hey, give him a little bit of space, just like you wanted, back in the day. And they kind of like talked it out. And then I went and did that, and that was like, oh, that was a big change. Cause then it's like, oh, okay. There's, it was like, all right, you get a year, you get whatever to work. And then everything, just rolled in.
First sponsor, for those that don't know. First board sponsor.
First sponsor was this clothing company called Angular Moment, back in Brazil. It was a buddy of mine and I that were in it. And then the skate kind of like was an accessories, kind of like a shorties, but like in Brazil it's called slide. And there are these 2 brothers, Marcelo, Mauricio, and that was kind of like my first kind of skate because they did like grip tape and like grabbers and rails, right? Like, and screws, it's just like kind of like, it's actually a cool way to start a company. But they did that, and then they took me to the first contest. And my first contest was in a park kind of like Nui. And it wasn't like vert or street, or it was just like a park, and the contest was like you had to skate everything. So there was this like little vert, and then there was a transfer onto the street and the mini ramp. So I just did a line that hit everything, and then one, and I was just like, oh, this is easy. I remember like thinking like, oh, that's gonna be that's cool, this is easy. But my second contest, I got like second to last, and then I realized that it wasn't that easy, So.
Actually, on a side note, that's what I found interesting when I seen who was in the finals yesterday. Like, it was a very diverse mix. Like, you had, padded up skaters like Next Generation, Huddy and Taj, Wolfenden. And then skating against Tommy Flynn, who's just pure street league sort of guy. I don't think you're not going to see that very often. Anyway, I just want to say that.
No, you're not.
It's very unique.
And it's a good point. And that's because of the park. And that's also because of
it dictated that, right?
The type of, event really that Jackalope, is. And you got this was kind of a smaller version of their event. It's like the Jackalope Block Party, right? And then they do their main events and have more sports, right? This one's like, oh, let's go to, Newcastle. There's like this park there. And, and it was just this Flow Street Park. And they're just like open to, and I'm like, yeah, let's go have fun. It wasn't like, what am I going to skate? Whatever's there, and then so to see Tommy and then Kieran, George, like so diverse, right? And then in the best trick, and I'm in there skating with the new generation. It's just kind of like a different style event, and you can't really you're going to judge this against that, but it was really like it was cool that Tommy was open, to skate. That we were having a good time. I guess that, you realize that it's a safer, like, oh, this is fun. There's no trying to be all, serious about things, and then Kieran, just coming out, and ripping, and George, and just seeing the local talent, and seeing more and more people like just stoked on skating. And you can hit any part of the park and it didn't matter. So that's something you won't see, in many events, and you probably won't see it in any other, formats, because you can't really pinpoint it,
Dude, like I said, we're the same age, and you look like you're in really great shape, and obviously you're still skating, and you're skating great. I seen that slider to fakie on the vert.
That's right
insane. Like, and those of you that have not been to the skate park, that vert wall is hard to get to and no joke. So that was sick. But
hard to get to and no out.
And like shoots you straight into a 4-foot quarter or 3-foot quarter or something. Yeah. But anyway, it's like I was sort of thinking like, well, what's this guy doing to keep his body in tune and in shape? Like, how are you managing that? Because one thing I'm finding, I get a lot of people around my age say this to me, oh, I'm too old to skate now. I'm too old for this. I'm too old to try that. I just think they're maybe selling themselves short too early. So what are you doing to keep yourself in shape? And injury-free.
Yeah, no, that's like almost impossible. I get injured all the time, but it's like, it's all in your mind really, because, if people think they're old, they're old, yeah, that's right. You're old, man. I think you're done. Because if you're saying it, you're saying it and it's to you, and then whatever you believe in, what you put your mind in, and that's the reality of that you live, so you can go all the way. I mean, you can have a fragility and you can understand your, body and know, right? Like, okay, why am I going to go jump down a 20-stair rail, right? Like I'll probably be able to do it, or I'll kill myself doing it, and I'll go to hospital or whatever. But it's like, okay, but that's because I was never into that type of skating. My type of skating kind of allows for a longer, approach, but you still have to like just constantly be on it. Don't stop. I mean,
you've taken it next level. But like, what's your theory then? Like, why can a transition skater last longer than a straight?
Oh no,
is it impact, purely impact?
Yeah, it's impact. I mean, you can. It's not like last longer, but like what you choose to do, right? It's the opposite of street skating. So, like when you get older in street skating, you're not gonna go bigger rails. You're gonna tighten things up.
You're going to the curbs.
You can still get tight and get good rails, but you're just gonna be like in this zone of like how much impact you can take. That day, and then are you like working out, getting super strong, because that's what street skating, takes, and taking care of yourself, and like you have to like everything has to revolve around that, and then you can still, carry on and do your, get tech and all that. But on transition, the older you get, it feels like the bigger the transition, the better, right? So obviously, I don't want to take a train wreck type of slam all the time, but I also don't go that level of risk all the time.
There it is again, risk management.
Yeah. So it's just like, okay, you can still get super tech and progress and learn without having to necessarily be on a path that, I was younger, was like skating everything all the time, intensely, all day long, like, because it's just the rhythm, right?
Yeah.
So it's really, yes, risk management. Then it's rhythm adjustment, right? And then there's like body, like I've done with alcohol like 3 years ago. And for a while I did like 4 years and then I back, whatever, but I feel that was that changed a lot, and it's like, okay, that's there. I've been like pretty much vegan for like, I don't know, a couple years, maybe 3 years, as well.
What do you notice different about that?
I'm asthmatic too. So like I took that out because I don't have many more asthma attacks. And then also inflammation because of, the cheese, the dairy, all that stuff. If you roll an ankle, like I won't swell up as much as someone that, eats like that will. Right?
So like less systemic inflammation.
Yes, exactly. And then you start, adjusting that. And then from skating all the time, it was like, okay, if I eat this like heavy meat, whatever, and then I have to skate, it was just like, it would take a little longer because that's just what it takes to digest. So I, chose a path of like lighter digestion, and trying to like, eat in that way. And it worked for me. It's not like, oh, everyone should turn vegan. It was just like, I'm not like a religious vegan where it's just like, I don't eat any meat and I don't eat eggs or cheese or anything like that. But if the bread was done with eggs or if there's a little thing in that, or it's not like, but it's more of a vibrational approach, to my food. And that's kind of helped me a lot. And also nutrition, you have to be on it,
Well, yeah, where are you getting your macronutrients like proteins and stuff if you're not eating eggs and meat?
Well, you eat grains.
Just all three
grains?
and
you can
green
get grains.
Veg.
I also do protein powder, which I also did in the past. They're just plant-based,
Gotcha.
But I've always done that. And then the supplements, cool enough, there's this company called Stack, and I've been taking them. There's like you take, right before 3 p.m. and right after 3 p.m., there's like a little mix of like these micro things, and you don't have to take a bunch of supplements at the right times. It's just like, you just take this. Been doing it for like 3 months. Right. Super easy. And definitely feels like, on it and feels better, right? Just from that. But it's like, it's paying attention to like, being aware of what you are and, and how you work, whether it's mental, physical, spiritual, like all of that together kind of like will give you and make skateboarding easier for that day, So it's like you're working on this long-term rhythm, so that
do you feel like, because let's face it, you've been an elite athlete for many years, like, are these all philosophies and things you've learned and you're just putting it all together? And that's why I'm actually really curious to ask you about Farmer Leaf, the organization that you've founded. Mm-hmm. So is that linking into what you're just saying in regards to holistic wellness, diet, movement, spirituality?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's absolutely links into it. And it's really like a fruit of my experiences in life and like trying to heal up quick, right? It's like when you become a professional skateboarder, you become a professional healer of yourself, right? The quicker you heal, is an advantage to the guy that's not healing that quick, or in a competition sense, like how you put yourself in that position to when you skate. If someone else isn't looking at that, you're gonna have. That's like the little advancements that you can take. And then regardless of that competition, but just for yourself, it's like awareness of your body is what heals and progresses and, and all that. So Pharma Leaf was like, it started out as a cannabis company, because obviously you're getting hurt all the time. It's treating chronic pain, really, like not like if I break a bone, I got an exposed fracture. It's like hospital, surgery, I'll take all the drugs I need, painkiller, like whatever is needed, But there's a time for that, and then once you get through that acute, part of the injury, then I would take away that and then only do like the natural, so cannabis was a big thing, stop drinking, it's like just like eat better, and then that'll kind of bring the healing quicker. And then the workouts, because now you get your heart rate up.
Yep.
more information goes through, quicker you heal, right? Whether you're skating or not, you know, and if you can't do it, if you're just doing this with your hands, just get your heart rate up, right? So, you know, so those things. And then I remember like I would look at like if I, you know, broke my ankle, I'd grab like this application muscle, whatever anatomy, and then like on my iPad, and I'd look at the part that I got hurt. And I'd just be like, oh, okay, I see, I understand. This was going on, da-da-da-da-da. So that means that I'm like, I know and I visualize, you know, so visualize and then healing. Oh, this is going to heal up quick, you know, because da-da-da. So that's like part.
You practice like visualization, meditation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the same way you're going to visualize a trick. You know, you got to visualize a healing. You got to visualize your life. You can't, you can live in chaos.
But you feel like it really sped things up?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
There's no feeling about it. It was like absolute, you know, like literally. It absolutely speeded things up. And then you also get professional help on top of your mentality, right? Then now they're thinking in different ways than a regular doctor will think. Like you walk in and be like, oh, you'll never skate again, right? And then you got a guy that knows. Yeah, you need a guy that knows, and then plus your ability, then that together makes it even faster, right? So you do it enough times. And you understand that works, right? And then it was also like, okay, always a search of like traditional medicine, like helping me out, and then natural medicine to lifestyle lock, right? So that's the lock is on the lifestyle on natural medicine and natural thing or whatever. And then when you need to, you attack the traditional medicine, you know.
Wow.
That's kind of like, and then that was Farm Relief. And it was like, oh, okay, now, you know, it's I did this cannabis thing. That's cool. You know, did this company, and then it was just hard to scale. You know, it was just really hard to, you know, like really get some sales because of the regulations. So I like pulled back, and then I redesigned it, and it's now coming back. You know, as an accelerator. So we like an accelerator of the market. So we're grabbing your healing journey. Right. So, and creating this like natural medicine intelligence called Green Label Intelligence. Right. So the Green Label Intelligence is around natural medicine intelligence, whether it's plants or, you know, visualization, spiritual, like where you can kind of like really connect science to what's going on and a lot of things that are happening, like quantum physics, all the things.
Do you do blood work as well?
Yeah. Like the idea, okay, now that you've got this natural medicine intelligence, you use the Farm Relief platform and you create a profile for yourself where you like centralize all your information, right? So, because again, my experience was to get hurt all over the world, and then I'm in a new hospital, and then they ask me, what's your medical history? I begin to tell you, man, let me see. I got to write and fill up this report, and it's like a half hour later, I'm filling up, you know, all this stuff. So now if you're on the platform, you can update, you know, everything there, your blood work, your DNA thing, your history and what you injure. You can really like personalize that. Yeah. And then with that personalization, that talks to the intelligence, and all of that is understood from that. So then it could give you, you know, what you should do to adjust your lifestyle to have better, you know, da-da-da. Even if you're taking some prescribed medicine, the idea is for it to look at that prescription and then be like, well, people that take that usually kind of have a lower of this vitamin and they get a little, you know, queasy. So then take these natural medicines for the side effect of that, not substitute.
Not like, wow.
Yeah, not because it's not about like stop doing this and do this. Eventually, you'll learn that by changing your lifestyle, you'll use less of this.
Falls away.
But for the time being, whatever your doc, whatever you have to do, the natural medicine intelligence will at least give you a view. And that way it adjusts your awareness, right, by the mental, you know, conversations. And then now you're in a better place to heal. And then it could give you all these tips and things that you wouldn't know, and that's because we have that. So Farm Relief is like, okay, now you can go there and you centralize all your medical, and it's all protected. And the idea is like, obviously we're going to build it out, and then we got phased, but you know, that it'll be protective conversations and all your data is protected. And then you have this centralized view of your health, and then you use the platform to kind of get, you know, better at it. And eventually, you know, the build out is like, you know, tokens, because we're looking at blockchain technology too. And so then you can do a token with part of it is like clinical studies. So there's a treasury, say like 30% of $1, you raise every time goes to natural studies, natural medicine studies.
Yeah.
So it's just locked into this treasury. So the way it works is like if you raise $1 million, then 300 grand is locked. I couldn't even touch it. It's only unlocked by proposals. And because it's a blockchain, every profile on Farmaleaf is earns a vote. So then you can look at that and be like, there's a proposal for study psilocybin and depression in old people. And someone from the University of Rio de Janeiro wants 100 grand. And they can look at that, and everyone can look at that and be like, oh, that's cool. I vote yes. And if it passes, the money is a smart contract. It will go straight into the guy's wallet, and he goes and does the study.
Like a democratic process.
Yeah, it happens a lot. I mean, it's called, in the blockchain world, there are like decentralized autonomous organizations that work like that. It's not like there's no like one guy saying this and that. It's just everyone kind of voting. And that's out there. But this is like in science, it's like decentralized science movement, because a lot of things aren't funded. They stay underfunded because there's the companies that fund certain medicines want to do so for the highest profit, because it's a corporation and that's what it is. But if the group of people funds it, then now it's for the actual study, regardless if it's a drug that will profit highly or not, because it needs to, and that knowledge
so
is
less
public.
Bias, and it's more direct to what's
exactly
needed.
And you'll have studies on more and more studies on cannabis. There are already a few, but if you go reference the PubMed, whatever, there's 5,000 studies of this or five, so it's always going to talk to you with evidence based, and in the end, the way it makes money is like, as a software as a service, right? Like it's the value in that conversation. And then there is like this suggestion of product in the answer, right? So when you answer it, like you're doing this and and then like, have you taken this? And then you can go like, it'll suggest like some natural things or whatever. And then when you buy it, you get a transaction fee.
Yeah.
Right. So that's also accelerates and demands a whole natural medicine, market. And then it connects professionals too, because the whole idea is like, well, have you ever seen a naturopathic doctor? Like, oh no, or have you ever seen this type of doctor? And then it can have that database there and then direct you to that too. Dude. Always to take you to feel better, to get better. So the whole idea is to like grab all this knowledge and experience, and you know, when you get hurt and when you're not hurt, but just you have the knowledge in front of you. That means that you'll be aware and you're going to be a better version of you, and you can have a vision and kind of design your own lifestyle journey, right?
Lifestyle. So you help people create a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that organization in America called Ways to Well?
Mm-mm.
Very similar concept. I forget the guy's name that started it, but maybe have a look and look at the comparison to what you're doing. And again, it's not dispelling modern medicine. It's like, how can we integrate and I guess create more of symbiosis.
Yep.
And then, like you said, move towards completely natural. But it's very realistic. That sounds super intriguing. I didn't expect it to be so in-depth.
Yeah, no.
How long's it been running for, real quick?
Well, 2017 was kind of when it was born. And then this whole revival of it was in 2021 or so. Yeah. Then I went through this, like, I was like, wait, this is not working. I need to pivot into something else. And I kind of like, threw spaghetti on the walls, trying to figure out what. And this came out as like, oh, this makes total sense.
Hell yeah.
And all the technology's there. The people are out there, and I got a strong group now, and it's just kind of about to come out. Like, really, we've just been working on this first version of a platform. So within the next month or so, then you'll start, seeing more of it, and we'll put it out. And
you're a testament to it. Like, you're in this new chapter of your life, and you're thriving, and you've got heaps of energy, and you're doing all this cool stuff still, and really, like, living your best life. Whereas I think I'm noticing people around our age start to go, well, I'm just going to really slow down. But I feel like you're not slowing down.
Yeah, just
putting your energy in other places.
Yeah. Trying to keep the pace, Yeah,
dude. Listen, I am conscious of time.
Yeah, no worries.
Can I hit you with a few quick rapid fire questions, right? So the first one I want to ask you is, what's your personal favorite video part of yourself over the years? Which one is it? I know I've got my personal favorite of you, but what's your personal?
You know, it's funny. It's got to be the last one because when you always work on that, it's like that one has to be better than that one, right? So I really like. I think the last one that I worked on was the in transition part with Barracks.
Yeah. And then
and that had some of the obstacles. I didn't get enough time for the Dreamland part. I remember like
Dreamland.
Yeah, no, because it's. I mean, I have all of them were a lot of effort, and when we cut it, I was happy with them. They're rare where I was just like, oh man, I always wish you could do more.
Hell yeah.
But I was never this over like, it was just like, oh, okay,
Okay, well,
I didn't know if people are going to like it, but it was just like, I really like it. Yeah. And then when it came out, it was just like, but I didn't know, we didn't know.
I think everyone likes the huge Euro.
The flip part,
the biggest Euro ever.
The flip part was the Brazilian gap, right?
Yeah.
the
Brazilian.
Yeah. So the flip part, and then the firm was different because it was like when the bowl was ready, and then it was a lot of that,
concrete.
Phase. And no, before the concrete, it was like when it was wood. It was right like that time, and I put it like that was the big video part.
When do you know a video part's done? When you're filming?
When the deadline comes up.
Okay, you just work off that.
Because
not like I've got to get this and then we're done.
Unless I decide the deadline, and that's not a good thing because I'll keep pushing it.
Yeah.
A deadline works in everyone's favor. Well, especially back when everyone had to follow it. Now they're individual parts, and you can kind of set a deadline with your sponsors and da-da-da. But when you have to set a deadline that everyone needs to set, Tom Penny has to come up with something, Jeff Rowley, Gliffberg, and everyone comes through at that same time, that everyone's respecting the fact that we're all working in this together. It's a different play when it's like that, right? But it's basically that. But I mean, basically, if the deadline's tomorrow, and I still have a couple hours to try the trick today, then we're going to do it.
You're not stopping.
And if it's worthy of a clip, the editor will then, because you probably have mastered it then, the premiere's coming up. So there's some things that you can and can't do. And then he gives you that ultimate deadline.
Okay.
If it's not here by this time, it's not going in.
Can't push it a day or two.
But I'm always pushing, always up to the edge and always up to the end of that deadline.
Okay. What year did you win Thrasher Skater of the Year?
97.
Dude,
yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
Next one, the Fakie 900.
How
many tries did it take you? And how long were you trying it for?
Well, it's hard to say that just about that trick, because it was really about the 900. I tried the 900 so many years, so much forward to forward. Just trying it and trying it and trying it. Tried it in the air because I didn't want to do what was already been done. I was like, let me just get this one. And it was like, all right, this is hard every time, getting close. Even firm, a couple of video parts, I pushed deadlines for the 900. And then it was just like, man, I was almost out of I'm just going to do it, maybe I'll just grab backside and do what's been done, and then it was like, man, is it worth it? But whatever. I was trying these, I was doing these 720s all the time. I got a combo. It was I did a switch ollie 360 board slide on the rail, landed fakie, and then did a 720. And it was just because 720s were so on, at that time, I can just spin them. And I was doing the forward to fakie 720s, the in the air and then landing backwards, and I'd always comfortable in looking and doing that backside 180, because the slam is really, you go forward and you slam on your knees. The forward to forward 9, if you over rotate, you're going on your back and maybe hitting your head. It's a weirder, even though it seems like, it's forward, it seems easier. If you can figure out a way to land
that last 90,
that last 90, and then when I thought of that, I went to my ramp and I was like, I'm just going to try it. And I did the 720, and I was about to land, and I spun a little bit, and I almost made the first one, right? And I got so excited, and I was like, oh my gosh, I stopped because I was going to make it. I was like, stop. And then I was like, oh shit, okay. Then I called video, photo, for the next day.
Yeah, dude.
And then I stopped, and I was so giddy about it because, and then the next day came, and I warmed up, and then it was so I knew it was going to happen that day, and I was so excited that I couldn't even grab my board. I would go in the 720, and the board would go flying. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so anxious, right? And then I just stopped. I did that a couple of times, I stopped. Wait. It's a 720, and then I did one, looked almost, and then kept going a little bit, and then made it. So it was the first day that I decided to do it, I did it, you know, because I found out, like I found the answer, right? When the other one I was pushing and searching too hard, this one kind of like came to me. Then I learned that, I mean, over the years, that's one of the things that to this day I get. It's like, you don't make something happen. You're ready to receive it, you know?
Ooh.
You know, you can, because if not, you know, you're forcing it. And it's like, nah, you just got to put yourself and just be ready to receive. And then, all right, then boom, the tricks land.
That's
you're like, oh my gosh.
That's such a goat thing to say, Bob.
Right on.
It really is a goat
but
thing
it's what worked for me. It felt like it's subtle and more real.
I think the kids need to hear this shit, man. Like that's profound and beautiful, man. I love it. But in regards to the forward 9, do you think your height was a disadvantage?
No, not at all.
Because I
mean,
I don't think Tony did it.
No,
yeah.
it was my skill was at a disadvantage of going forward. Okay. You know, that wasn't my... You know, I've never felt like I was a good spinner.
Okay.
You know, I would do 540s because I had to do them in my run, you know, or in a demo.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I got to do them. And I just do them, you know, and I would just, you know, that's it. I'd turn it on, right? But, yeah.
Okay, look, I really want to ask you this one. Like, give us your insights into the evolution of what it means to be a professional skateboarder, and how do you think it's changed since 20 years ago? What
was that?
Like, what are your insights into the evolution of what it means to be a professional skateboarder? Okay. I mean, if you had to compare it to 20 years ago, how do you think it's different?
Well,
it's a layered question.
It is.
I was trying to keep it quick.
No, but here's the thing. There's money changes, right? Because there's definitely more money now. And depending on who you were back then, you made a lot of money, and, you know, obviously. But if you're, you know, coming up, there's more acceptance into skateboarding. So like if you ask your parents for a board, they'll probably say yes, right? When back in the day it was like you would get a no. And I skated because I get no's. You know, I'm like, oh yeah. You know, it's just my personality is like, you don't want me to do it? All right, watch me. You know, and that's that, right? And now I think that you have this huge institutional, you know, push, and there's all these big companies and big events and, you know, all this, so that sometimes parents and the kids, it's just a lot of this pressure of like, you will become this and you will do that. And there's all these big events going on. So you're in this like heavy, you know, environment all the time, you know, where to me, it was like, there was this expectance on ability because I was like getting better and better. But it wasn't an expectance of I'm going to make millions of dollars and I'm going to be the next blah, blah, blah. It was just like, no way, I'm going to turn pro and I get free boards and I'm going to get a check and and you just want to keep, and I'm going to travel and I'm going to skate, you know. So all that's there, but there's this layer now of deeper and, you know, bigger pressure that, you know, is put on really, you know, and then just, you know, the skill at a young age really can be, you know, a blessing, but it could also be like really harsh, and depending on how your parents handle it, you know. So I think that, you know, and that's really it. But it's the same. I feel that it's the same approach as it should always be, which is your own vision, right? If you pursue your own vision, everything else doesn't really matter, you know, like because you're pursuing that, and even at a top level skill, you know, it's just, I mean, pursue your reality, you know, and I tend to see people like generalizing and just kind of being like, all right, I got to be like that because that's a pattern that fits, you know? Yeah. And then you kind of, any type of like personality trait that shows up, you know, gets like, no, but you have to be more like this, right? So, but the cool thing is that there's every type of skateboarder out there now. I mean, you have, you know, they're all out there. You have the super creatives and they're not into, you know, the whole thing. And then you have the guys that are full on Olympic guys, and it's all good. There's no like, you shouldn't be like that. You should be whoever you want. Yeah. You know, skateboarding is, I don't own it. Yeah. You don't own it. You know, like anyone that skates on it. Now, if it's going to be something that, you know, you're going to sell a bunch of boards, right? Then that's another, if you're playing that's a whole nother, you know, game. You know, you want to compete because you're going to make a bunch of money and on the Olympic circuit, then that's a whole nother game. And that's a tough game, and that's hard, but it's like that, it just, you know, that's where you see the level, you know, of skateboarding. So, but it's cool to see the level that it is. You know,
It is.
There's no. I'm not that guy. You know, like back in the day, I see it and I'm like, oh my gosh, how can I get better at it? You
Still.
know? Well, yeah. Why do it if you're
Hell
not,
yeah,
if you're
dude.
not getting better at it? Like,
Hell yeah. And I love that it's really the direction it's pushed you is into this real focus of health and wellness, because that's what's going to keep you doing it.
oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, like
yeah.
it, and that's what's so beautiful about it. And I love that the fact you said you don't drink. I don't drink either.
Yeah.
And I really think that's been testament to the fact that, yeah, like I can still jump down a set of 6 stairs, you know, and I can still, you know, like bounce back from a hard session. I can skate for 2 hours and I'm okay. Like, I don't know. I just think it's those little things in making me enjoy life. And I really love that you're spreading that message too, brother.
That's it, man.
Yeah. Listen, almost there. Because like I said, I know you got to go and you got a flight to catch today. And you've given so much of yourself this weekend, which
I gotta go.
I really respect. Look, a couple of really quick ones. In terms of progressive skateboarding, who are some names that you see coming through that are taking it to the next level? I'm going to throw a name out there straight away, Tom Shah. In terms of what you do, transition skating with that tech vibe, but can still go big and spin. Who else do you think is in that realm, moving it like you and Danny and Colin and other people did?
Well, I mean, the main thing is looking at video parts.
Yep.
Right. And whoever's playing that game because that's when you really see, you know, you can win all the events and you can do all the spins and you can, you know, do crazy. And that's amazing because you'll see it, and doing it live is just incredible.
Yeah.
But you will sell yourself short, or you'll keep a much bigger view of your skateboarding if you don't work on video parts. Right.
Okay.
Right. So it's good for you to do it rather. Oh, no, I don't have time because no, it's like, well, you have to, like, do your things that you need to do, the 9 to 5s, the contracts, and like you have to go skate this event. But anywhere you go, you can spread a little of your awareness and look at what are the parks around here, and maybe stay a couple of days or maybe go out, so that you can then do that and skate the contest, and then like go out and try to get a couple of tricks in this local and skate something different, and be in this different parallel of working in video parts and doing the circuit if that's your thing, because that's what I want to see. So I like that Tom is doing that, and that's why we're saying his name, is because you're seeing him. He's going to skate the contest circuit. He's going to go off, but then he's going to put a video part out, and that video part kind of put him somewhere, and and now it's like, oh, he's keeps filming and keeps progressing,
He was watching some of your tricks from your video parts as inspiration and motivation, but then also going, well, I can't do that because Bob's already done it.
Oh, well, I mean, Did
you hear that interview?
Yeah. I mean, he was very generous, and it's very it's inspiring, because knowing that all of that, work and skating and putting all that energy down, gets to inspire someone like Tom, and then him going out there and trying to search and play, with things. And, he's got the goal set up there at my house, and, come skate anytime, and it's good because then I have someone to skate with, and then push me, so that's what's cool. So I saw it, and I see it, and it's cool to just watch like how incredible, his progression is,
Yeah, dude. Well, listen, man. It's been epic. I do have a bunch of stuff to ask you, but
maybe we can take it on the video. Yeah, we'll do a video call.
Mr. Bob Burnquist.
Right on,
everybody.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Thank you.